Om Ajnanatimidandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadandikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So thanks for having me here. It's an honor, it's a pleasure. And again, like this, the theme of today is, in spite of our spiritual shortcomings, we should be grateful that we believe in a loving, personal God, as opposed to, some white light, some Brahman. We should be really grateful to Krishna that we may not have, a lot of faith. Speaking for myself, we don't have much, but at least we've accepted the idea that God's a person, that God has a form, and we're working in that direction. Yesterday I was making a YouTube video on right outside of Tamal Krishna Maharaj's Samadhi in French for a French channel. And there was this guy who had asked me, can you please explain the difference between Advaita Vedanta or impersonalism and personalism or Vaishnavism? So I was, making the point that the goal of the impersonalist and the goal of the Vaishnava is really different. I was trying to contrast the two. The goal of the impersonalist or the follower of Advaita Vedanta or Shankaracharya, the goal is what? It's mukti, moksha, right? Liberation from birth and death, so that the soul can merge into some white light, into the Brahman, to the radiance of the Lord. Well, we believe of the Lord. They will say there's just the radiance, period, and that radiance manifests through Krishna or Shiva or Ganesh or Durga, and therefore it doesn't matter who you worship ultimately, because that's just for neophytes like the Vaishnavas. But the Vaishnavas, the devotees of Krishna, believe in a personal God. They believe in the Supreme Person. And they believe that this white light that all the impersonalists try to merge into, actually emanates from that white light. And they don't want simply mukti or moksha. If the Lord grants mukti, great. But ultimately, they just want bhakti. They just want a relationship with Krishna. And so I think, therefore, since this verse talks about this, we can all identify with it. At least all of us here who have, taken up the practice of bhakti yoga, we can all relate to this idea of the absolute truth having form, possessing, as the verse says, transcendental qualities, and I think we can all testify to the attractive power of that Supreme Person. Otherwise, why would we be here? Why would we be chanting Hare Krishna day in and day out, and trying to follow the Vaishnava standards of life? If we hadn't experienced some sort of attraction to Krishna, right? So this is a verse that relates to all of us as, aspiring devotees. Now, the context of this verse is pretty cool. This verse was quoted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya when they were having a discussion. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya just kind of, had this, like they say in French, a tilt moment. Not like tilt like you're tilting your head, but more like when you're playing the old, like before they had digital games, they had like you have two little things on the side and there's a metal ball. How do you call that?
Pinball.
What?
Pinball.
Pinball. So sometimes if you hit the pinball machine too hard, it goes tilt, like it freezes, right? So anyways, some sort of like aha moment. When Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya just realizes, oh my God, like he gives 9 different interpretations of the verse of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya says, that's very nice. Let me tell you my few thoughts on it. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya realizes, oh my God, I'm dealing with the Supreme Personality of God. And he falls flat in front of Lord Chaitanya. And seeing Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's humility, Lord Chaitanya blesses him. And what does he do? He reveals to him his Vishnu form. Just like Krishna does to Arjuna. And then after his Vishnu form, he manifests his Krishna form, his two-handed form. And Kaviraj Goswami mentions that when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya saw Lord Chaitanya manifests his Vishnu form and his original Krishna form, it was revealed in his heart. Everything, all the truths, Kaviraj Goswami says, all the truths were revealed to him, including the importance of chanting the holy name. Including the importance of chanting the holy name and the spreading of Krishna consciousness. Those are the exact words of Kaviraj Goswami, right? So that's the context of this verse. And the reason why this verse is so important, because it's kind of like a weapon, so to speak, for personalists, for devotees of Krishna. You know, yet one more sort of weapon in the non-violent debate that is centuries and centuries old between, or millennial old, or if not eternal, between, you know, the impersonalists and the devotees of Krishna. And so this verse establishes that, you know, the Lord has qualities, transcendental qualities. So it really establishes two things, because if you're going to have qualities, you can't not be a person. So this verse is so important that, you know, it establishes not only is God a person, but he has transcendental qualities, or because he has transcendental qualities that have the power to attract even liberated souls, he is the supreme person. So just for our memory's sake, we can, you know, go through a few verses that emphasize this. You know, the Sri Ishopanishad, that famous verse, "O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee." Right? And like I was saying just earlier, you know, the devotees of Krishna believe that this radiance, this white light that the yogis and the impersonalists try to merge into are actually the rays, the bodily rays of Krishna. As Krishna himself says in the Gita, "Brahmano hi pratishtaham." Aham, I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman. And he warns that, you know, when I come and engage in the world in my human form, human in the spiritual sense, right? Like the Brahma Samhita says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha. The Lord has a form, but it's a spiritual form. It's a form made of eternality and bliss and knowledge. But when he descends, he says, only fools deride me, only fools make fun of me when I come in this human form. Avajananti ma mudha manushim tanumashritam. And in the 4th chapter, you know, verse 9, Krishna says, "Janma karma chane divyam." Like my activities, my appearance, they're divyam, they're transcendental. They're transcendental. So that's the establishment of Krishna, or God, having a form, a personality. And this verse claims that these qualities, this personality, is attractive. I mean, isn't that what Krishna, the word Krishna means? Attractive, right? It has the power to attract souls. And so that's why in, you know, very exalted stages of Krishna consciousness, you have you know, saints like Rupa Goswami who say, look, if you're at all attached to worldly friends and to your society, do not, be careful, don't look at the smiling face of Lord Govinda as he stands on the bank of the Yamuna at Keshigat. Because, you know, if you look at that guy, quote unquote, then you're gonna get attracted to him, and as a result, you'll lose your attachment for matter and for sense gratification. There's a passage in the Chaitanya Bhagavatam, in the Madhya Lila, that I really, really like, where Lord Chaitanya really pushes strongly this point of God having a form and himself basically having a form. And so I want to read this to you. It's a few paragraphs from the Madhya Kanda of Chaitanya Bhagavat, which illustrates this point. So here you got Lord Chaitanya before he takes sannyas. These are the sweet pastimes of Lord Chaitanya in Navadvip before he takes sannyas. These pastimes, by the way, I think are super important for ISKCON devotees in general, given that, you know, the large majority of ISKCON or Gaudiya Vaishnava devotees as a whole are largely majority householders and not, you know, monks or sannyasis. The pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, those few years that he spends in Navadvip, after he quote unquote converts to Krishna consciousness, and before he leaves Navadvip as a sannyasi, those Navadvip Leelas of Lord Chaitanya are very, very important for devotees to look to, for inspiration, for examples. So here, Lord Chaitanya has already revealed himself as the Supreme Lord, or maybe not yet. He's just at that cusp where, he just came back from Gaya, he became the new Bhakta, he saw the light, he met his guru, and now he's like serving all the Vaishnavas of Navadvip, and all the devotees there are like, wow, look, Nimai Pandit, he joined, he became a devotee, how wonderful. And so Lord Chaitanya one day goes into the house of Murari Gupta, screaming, "Bore, bore," because he had just heard about the avatar of Varaha. So inspired by the mood of Varahadev, Chaitanya Bhagavatam describes, he goes into Murari Gupta's house unannounced, and Murari Gupta sees him walk right in front of him. He goes to I don't know if he goes to the altar, but he passes by Murari Gupta screaming, "Bore, bore, bore." And here, let me read it to you. One day, the Lord heard the pastimes of Krishna in his incarnation as a boar, Lord Varaha. Roaring, he rushed to Murari Gupta's house. Lord Chaitanya had a special love for Murari Gupta, just like Lord Ramachandra had a special love for Hanuman. When Lord Gaurachandra arrived at Murari Gupta's house, Murari Gupta received the Lord with great respect, offering obeisances to the Lord's lotus feet. The Lord hurried past by him, shouting, "Bore, bore!" Murari Gupta was left dumbfounded, looking all around him. The Lord entered the temple room of Lord Vishnu and saw a beautiful water pot standing in the corner. Just at that moment, what happened? Just at that moment, the Lord took the form of Varaha. So imagine, you got like a human coming into your house, and all of a sudden, he manifests as a boar. You've got like this giant boar in front of you. Transcendental on top of that. And so, the author, Vrindavan Das Thakur, says Murari Gupta was left dumbfounded. He's like, right? And in the mood of Varaha, the Lord lifted the water pot with his tusks. So Lord Chaitanya transforms into a boar. He's got two tusks, and he lifts probably the silver water pot for to use to do the puja between his two tusks, right? And absorbed in this mood, he lifted the water pot, and roaring loudly like a boar, he stood there with his 4 hoofs. And then he tells Murari Gupta, "Offer prayers to me, Murari." And Murari remained dumbfounded, amazed he couldn't say anything. The Lord said, "Speak up, Murari, speak up. Do not have fear. Don't you know my supreme identity?" Trembling with fear, Murari pleaded with the Lord, saying, "O Lord, you only know how to glorify yourself and offer prayers." And then he goes through a litany of beautiful prayers, which I didn't include here. Okay? So after Murari Gupta makes all these prayers to the Lord, this is what's significant. Listen to this. Lord Varaha was pleased with Murari Gupta's words. Then, expressing anger at the Vedic literatures. So you got Lord Chaitanya who gets angry, who's expressing anger towards the Vedas. And remember, in the Gita, Krishna says, "Vedas cha sarvar aham eva vidyam." Like, of all the Vedas, I am to be known. I am of all the Vedas, I'm to be known. I am the compiler of the Vedas. I mean, aham sarvasya prabhu, everything comes from Krishna, including the Vedas. But it's kind of ironic that here he's like, because many followers of the Vedic tradition, the Vedas, and of course we respect the Vedas, but in this particular case of extreme personalism, Lord Chaitanya has this to say about the Vedas in general. He says, "The Vedas have the audacity to say that I have no hands, no legs, no mouth, and no eyes." And he's speaking as a boar. He doesn't even have hands, he's got hoofs. "There is a mischievous sannyasi living in Kashi who teaches his students. That rascal tries to mutilate my transcendental form. He studies the Vedas and teaches others, but he does not accept my transcendental form. As a result of such blasphemy, he was attacked with the dreaded disease of leprosy, but he could not understand the import of it." And he continues, I am the Lord of all sacrifices, the Supreme Lord Vishnu. There are no imperfections in my transcendental form. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are always engaged in glorifying my supreme transcendental position and nature. A mere touch of my body can spiritualize and purify everything. Yet that rascal is so insolent that he proclaims that my transcendental form is non-existent. Carefully hear my opinion, Murari Gupta. I will tell you that which is not manifest even in the Vedas. I accepted the incarnation of a boar to lift the material world out of the waters of nescience. Know me to be the ultimate goal of the Vedas. The purpose of my present incarnation is to propagate the congregational chanting of the holy name of Krishna. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas are not the only ones who, believe in God having a form and expressing devotion in that sense. And I wanted to share with you probably the most popular Christian pop song, just the first 30 seconds, that was ever composed in recent history. It broke all the records. It's a song that was written by a guy called Bart Millard. And I'll just play it to you real quick, but listen to these lyrics, how close they are to what we as devotees believe in terms of wanting to have darshan of the form of God and believing in the form of God and in the personhood of God. He says, I can only imagine what it will be like when I walk by your side. I can only imagine what my eyes would see when your face is before me. I can only imagine. And just in the spirit of Yukta Vairagya, listening to this, I'll put it to the mic.
I can only imagine what it will be like when I walk by your side. I can only imagine what my eyes will see when your face is before me. I can only imagine.
So coming to you, Prabhus, like I said at the beginning, you should be grateful that you're connected to a tradition that believes that God's a person and that you can develop a personal relationship with Him and experience the love of Krishna to you and express your devotion to Him. And keep chanting, what else is there to say? Keep chanting that holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, because you know as well as I do that our scriptures say that if you want to get everything, including darshan of the Lord and see the Lord and experience your relationship with Him, then you have to chant the holy name. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasyeva Nasyeva Eva Katiranyata. And one thing that I thought of mentioning real quick as a parenthesis that you can think of, because here we've been hearing about, seeing the Lord or the form of the Lord, which you usually perceive with your eyes, right? But the holy name or the sound vibration of Krishna, whether it's His holy name or whether it's the sound of His flute, in some respects, in some regards, is even more attractive than His form. First of all, it's more merciful. Like Rupa Goswami in Padyavali says that the holy name of the Lord is much more merciful than the form of the Lord. And the Bhagavatam, in the 10th canto, there's the description of the birds of Vrindavan, right? And the birds of Vrindavan, check this out, they actually have darshan of Krishna right there. Like they see Him. And yet what do? They close their eyes. They close their eyes so they can hear Krishna's flute. The charming flute song steals away the minds of the cranes, swans, and other lake-dwelling birds. Indeed, they approach Krishna, close their eyes, maintaining strict silence, worship him by fixing their consciousness upon him in deep meditation. So they close their eyes, they meditate on him. But listen to this next one. In this forest, O mother, all the birds have risen on the beautiful branches of the trees to see Krishna. With closed eyes, they are simply listening in silence to the sweet vibration of his flute, and they are not attracted to any other sound. So, we don't have taste, and that's okay. Like Lord Chaitanya told, identifying as us, he said, Durdaiva midrisham yahajani nanuragaha, like, you're so kind, Krishna, you have appeared in this holy name, but I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. But that's okay. We should just follow another of Rupa Goswami's instructions in the nectar of instruction and just be patient and continue, our basic sadhana, our basic program, associating with devotees, doing kirtan like we did yesterday and other devotees did on the Kadashi, and just keep doing that. Keep participating in the Yuga Dharma and stay in close association and keep sinful activity as far away as possible. And by doing that, this Shravanam Kirtanam will gradually reawaken our dormant love of God, and we can gradually see Krishna more and more and appreciate his presence more and more and testify, be real testifiers to this claim that not only is God a person, but that he has transcendental qualities that attract all of us, including liberated souls. So we should thank Krishna for allowing us to believe in him and to continue serving him and trying to help others also come to his lotus feet. Thank you for your patience. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.